Hi everyone, Stepan here. There has been an update to the playlist while we're waiting for a game. I'm gonna tell you, I've extended the period for this playlist and for this goal for another year. So I've had 5 losses in the last 5 games. Okay, we have a game very quickly. And I'm only 20 rating points up compared to my starting rating. And it's unrealistic to expect 2500 by the end of the year. So I've extended it until the end of 2025, and you can see on your screen that I have 426 days left. So this is going to take longer, but I started getting frustrated because of my poor results and my poor play, which is the cause of my poor results. So I've given myself another year. So now the goal is realistic. I have time for training. I don't have to play games every day. I can just take it slowly and calm down and concentrate and, well, feel relaxed about it. I think that's the main thing that I would like to stress. So, okay, my opponent's playing the London. We are now going to go into a favorable exchange Caro-Kann after bishop f5, where if they go queen b3, I can go queen d7, and on knight f3, I can go f6, preventing knight e5. And this is one of my favorite lines against the London system. I play it to go into a Caro-Kann instead of playing the London, and we will see how it goes. Now, one more thing I would like to talk about before I get into the game seriously is I've realized, as you could have seen in my previous 2 losses, the most common reason I lose games is not because I visualize poorly, it's because I miss my opponent's candidate moves. So 2 games ago I missed queen b4, completely winning, easy move to spot. In the last game I was calculating c5, a pawn break with a tempo on the queen, but I'd completely missed my opponent's very easy to spot candidate move on move 2 in the variation, and I saw it as soon as I played my move. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on in my training. Not missing candidate moves my opponents can play. Okay, my opponent did not play the critical line with queen b3 or knight f3, so now I'm going to go e6. I want to keep the option to go f6 if they still do go queen b3, and I go queen d7 and they go knight f3. Okay, now if queen b3 is played, then queen d7, knight e5. But now I have time for bishop d6, I think. Bishop d6, queen b3 takes, queen b7, rook c8. Bishop d6, let's not miss any candidate moves. Bishop d6, knight e5 I can take twice. Bishop d6, queen b3 I can take on f4. Bishop d6, queen d6, queen b3, rook b8. Works. This works. Okay, so yeah, I'm more relaxed. I'm not stressed. I'm not feeling down about my losses. I know that I lost the last 5 games because my skill isn't high enough. Okay, so I have to train, I have to change that. And I'm going to keep playing games as often as I can. Okay, so now on queen b3, I have rook b8. So now I can continue developing normally. So knight f6. If queen b3, rook b8. That works. If knight h4, I have bishop g4 or bishop e4. On bishop b5, I can castle and knight e5 does nothing. So now I just have a good exchange Caro-Kann. In the normal exchange Caro-Kann, white gets the bishop to d3, and that's very good, of course. Black doesn't have a good square for the light squared bishop. In this case, well, my bishop is on f5. So yeah, I've set this goal until the end of 2024. As I said, 20 rating points up is nothing, and losing the last 5 games was extremely discouraging. So I had a sit down with myself and told myself, okay, you don't have to rush things, take it slow. The main goal of this playlist isn't to reach 2500, it's to get better at chess. And it's very hard to get better at anything, and chess in particular, if you're stressed out. Und jetzt, was machen wir? Do I just take this twice? Do I allow my opponent to take? So if bishop e5, no, I don't want to give up my bishop. I also don't want to give up a piece. So I think I just ignore this. Can I just castle? If knight c6, bc6. Queen a4, I have c5. Castles. What else can my opponent do? There's no g4. There is knight f3, but then I have the e4 square. Yeah, I feel like I just castle. If bishop b5, then I can go rook c8. I don't think this is a big deal. If my opponent takes on c6, then I just have c5, and that's fine. I didn't want to go rook c8 yet. I'm sorry, I think Lucia is working over there. I think she's getting messages on WhatsApp. So, and she has headphones on. Lucia! She doesn't hear me. Lucia! No. Okay. Never mind. Okay, my opponent hasn't castled yet, so is there any way to use that? I mean, I could win the dark squared bishop straight away. I could go knight e4, and on bishop h4 I could go g5, knight e4, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, g4. Seems like I'm overextending a bit. Excuse me. Knight e4, bishop h4. Well, I could also go f6. Knight c6, bc6. I feel like I should do something aggressive while my opponent's king is still stuck in the center. Wait a minute, knight e4, bishop h4, f6, knight c6, bc6. Okay, I'm playing knight e4 because I like it. It's a good square for my knight my opponent has given away. And let's see what my opponent does. I have f6, I also have g5. And then I also have g4 winning the pawn. But it gets very scary. So if bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, g4, I can take on g3 and take on d4 twice, and my opponent's king is still stuck in the center. So I also have queen a5 and bishop b4. So I'm not too sure I'm gonna weaken myself all the way with g5, g4, but I may just do that if winning the e-pawn is significant enough. And if my opponent doesn't play bishop h4, okay, takes on c6, wants to take on d6. But now I have c5, and my opponent's king is still stuck in the center. Okay, so c5. If dc5, then knight g3, followed by bishop e5. If knight c6, then queen c7. c5. Is there any reason not to play c5? I don't see it, so I'm just gonna go c5. c5, knight c6. Am I missing any candidate moves? c5, knight c6, queen c7, c5, dc5, knight g3. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything. My opponent's king is still on e1, so all of this liquidation in the center is good for me. Of course, my opponent can just ignore me, and that's fine. They can play bishop d3. But having played c5, I'm very happy. That's the key move in the exchange Caro-Kann, and well, you cannot really call this the London system anymore. Let's stop the bleeding. 5 losses was enough. Let's win the game. Come on. There's no knight f7 on knight d3. I don't know. And I'm up a minute and a half on the clock. I think what my opponent is doing is extremely risky. Having the king still on e1 so late in the game, the bishop on f1 still hasn't moved. Something has gone terribly wrong in the opening for my opponent. I may even have a big initiative coming up because my opponent is yet to develop, but I don't see a clear way to go about it. Definitely exchanging on d4 is the way to go, because then I'll have bishop b4 check with a devastating attack. The king has to go to e2. Also queen a5 check. Oof. Okay, no, if I take on d4, it should be over. If my opponent takes on c5, that loses an exchange, because if dc5, knight g3, and on cd6, knight h1, and I don't think I'm missing anything. What? I have not expected f3. Never play f3. Okay, I take on g3. I don't think I should think about anything else. h7 is never a weakness, while I have this bishop on f5. Doesn't f6 just win the g-pawn? f6? I say never play f3, and then my first candidate is f6. f6, where can the knight go? f6, knight c6, bishop g3, f6, g4, g4, there is g4. Okay, let's not be too hasty. I have the bishop pair. I don't want to give it up. f6, g4. Well, I win a pawn. f6, g4, fe5, gf5, ef5. Okay, that seems good to me. I'm playing f6. I'm expecting g4, but I win a pawn and my opponent's king is stuck on e1. That seems pretty good to me. I don't think I'll be in trouble on h7. I may be, but I don't see any trouble yet, because the pawn on f3 is blocking my opponent's queen. And the pawn on f5 is preventing the queen or the bishop to attack h7 via b1 or b1 h7 diagonal. I don't see any move other than g4. Because on f4 I can take, and on queen h5 I have bishop g6. Or I don't even have to play bishop g6, my bishop defends h7. I mean, you have to play g4. You have to play g4. What else? Is there anything else? I don't see anything else. Because if the knight moves, I just go bishop g3. Yeah, g4 is forced. I may even take with the rook. So, rook f5 or ef5. ef5 so that I don't allow bishop d3 or queen c2. Now I want to go e4, and I can defend h7 with queen f6 and queen g6, or I can play rook f7 g6. If queen b3, I have c4. This seems good. Seems good. Pawn up. My opponent's king is in the center. There's no way to get to h7 just yet. Okay, I'm gonna take this. My queen defends d5. And next I want to go d4. My opponent would like to castle queenside. So should I go bishop e3? Or maybe even queen a5, but that doesn't work because of b4. I like bishop e3. Followed by d4. Am I missing something? Bishop e3, rook d1, d4. I don't think I'm missing anything. Queen e2, queen d3. I have d4 against all of those moves. Wait, but then there is queen b3. So bishop e3, rook d1, d4, queen b3 check, or bishop c4 check. So my opponent isn't threatening anything at the moment, except to castle queenside. Or to play rook d1 and queen b3 and then bishop c4. Yeah, that's annoying. So do I just go queen b6, allowing my opponent to castle? And then rook d8? No, because then there is rook d5, bishop c4. But maybe then bishop e3 check, king b1, queen c5, but then there is rook hd1. Yeah, I don't think I can afford bishop e3 because of rook d1. Maybe I need to go king h1, king h8. No, okay, let's look at queen b6 again. Queen b6, castles, rook a d8, rook d5, bishop c4, rook d8, rook hd1, queen c6. That seems okay. I'm gonna play queen b6. I don't think I can afford bishop e3. I think I need to allow my opponent to castle. How did I lose 5 minutes off my clock. And I'm even consider on castles playing d4. Because on cd4, bishop d4, there is rook c8. Also on b4, there is bishop b4, cb4, rook c8. I needed to give myself the option to defend the d-pawn with my rook. So castles queenside, d4, or rook d8. Okay, do I go d4? d4 or rook d8? On d4 there's bishop c4 check, king h8. And then how does my opponent get to h7? Well, doubling up the rooks is a good start. I'm gonna play rook d8. Wait, am I losing a piece? I may be losing a piece. Rook d8, rook d5, rook d5, bishop c4, rook d8. Yeah, I'm losing a piece. I cannot do that. I have to go d4. I know I'm allowing bishop d3 and bishop c4, but I'm counting on queen f6, on bishop d3, and on bishop c4, king h8. And if I take on c3, then queen takes, loses to bishop e3 followed by rook c8. And if b takes, then bishop a3 is just devastating. It hasn't seemed that I'm gonna have to be this careful when I want that pawn, but my king is actually pretty unsafe. Wait, on b4? Maybe I don't have bishop b4. Okay. So now I take on c3. This seems pretty good to me. Takes on c3. If queen c3, then bishop e3 followed by rook c8. Or simply bishop d4. And if bc3, then bishop a3. Okay, I'm taking. Excuse me. Because if my opponent takes with the pawn, if my opponent takes gf, then the queen is just blocked. And of course, queen f loses the queen. On queen h2, I can play queen takes b2 actually. And on queen c3 I play bishop d4. On bc3 I play bishop a3, and that seems winning enough. Because on king d2 I have queen f2, checkmate. Well, no, there's actually king d3, but then rook d8 is gonna be mate. I still have to be careful, but I'm up 2 minutes on the clock and it's looking good. Up 2 minutes on the clock and up 2 pawns. Come on. And bc cannot be played. Queen c cannot be played. So now if I go rook ac8, I'm threatening bishop takes a3, sorry, bishop a3 and rook takes c4. So rook ac8, rook ac8, I'm just threatening to get rid of that bishop. And if then bishop e6, I can take it. Rook ac8, if gf, wait, did my opponent have rook takes h7 on the last move? My opponent had mate. Wait, was that mate? It is mate now. Rook h7, king h7, queen h2, king g6. I didn't see that. Queen h5, king f6. Wow, I didn't see that. My opponent's threatening rook takes h7. Because the bishop is cutting my king off. Oh no, sorry, I have queen h6. Oof, stupid. I have queen h6. Never mind, because queen h6 is check. I can go rook ac8. Okay, I missed rook takes h7. But unfortunately for my opponent, it didn't work because of queen h6 check on queen h2. And of course, rook h1 doesn't work because king g6, there are no follow-up checks. Why did it get so interesting? So if I go queen a6 and I want to go queen a3 check, followed by queen b2, just exchanging everything. Yeah, that doesn't seem good. But I'll still do it because I don't know what else to do. Because I don't think rook h7 works. My queen still threatens queen h6. Yeah. I don't know. I have to go for it. I'm gonna flag. I've given up my... Okay. That happens. I was in time trouble. Let's not get upset. It happens. Calm down. Okay, so why is the engine automatically on? I don't understand this. I don't normally... I mean, I haven't turned it on. Why is it giving me... Why? Why? I would like to see the game without having to deal with the evaluation. How do I turn this off? Okay, let's see. Knight e5. I know the evaluation. That I don't like this. Why? Anyway. Ah, queen g5. Yeah, queen g5 would have given me the option to prevent castling as well. Yeah, okay. So what did I have to do here? Yeah, I had to give myself a way to defend these two squares. Queen a3 is just stupid. I was still better. Yeah, okay. I'm upset, but because of this game. So, my opponent played very badly, and I played very badly in the end. So what can you do? We will learn from this, and we will move on. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something from this game, and let's hope I play better in the next one. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.